Chapter 9, The Reset Map of Consciousness. How humans move from trauma child identity to integrated adult self. 1. Introduction. Consciousness is a structure, not a mystery. Reset challenges the traditional notion that consciousness just matures with age.
Reset demonstrates, consciousness develops only when stability system, father field, plus safety system, mother field, work together to support the identity system, child.
If either system collapses, consciousness becomes arrested, not advanced.
This results in the trauma child loop, a psychological and neurological state in which emotion,
decisions,
relationships,
attachment, identity, boundaries are all driven by a younger version of the self.
This chapter maps how reset transforms that frozen identity into the fully formed integrated adult.
2. The 3 layers of consciousness in reset.
The reset model identifies 3 developmental layers that shape consciousness.
1.
Survival consciousness, wounded child, a state dominated by
fear, abandonment, guilt, hypervigilance.
Parentification, emotional merging, identity collapse.
Control patterns, freeze, fight, flight, fawn. This is not the real self. This is the child self forced into adult responsibility. This is the trauma child identity. 2.
Transitional consciousness, reconstruction phase.
A hybrid state where the adult begins to appear, but the child still runs. Emotional patterns, relational patterns, fear responses, identity narratives. Reset calls this the reparenting phase, where the adult stabilizer is being built internally. 3. Integrated adult consciousness. A state characterized by
emotional autonomy,
stable identity, boundaries, internal safety, self-led decisions, healthy attachment, balanced masculine, feminine interior, reduced reactivity, increased agency, regulated nervous system. Reset is specifically designed to bring people from stage 1 to stage 3. 3. The 3 types of safety: emotional, practical, physical.
Reset distinguishes 3 forms of safety, each rooted in different systems.
1.
Physical safety, bodily survival.
Threat assessment. Fight/flight responses. Health, illness, environmental danger. Governed by the primitive nervous system. 2. Practical safety, stability system, the father field. Money, home, bills, life organization, planning, structure, boundaries,
order. Governed by the internal masculine, aka the executive system.
3.
Emotional safety, safety system, mother field.
Empathy, attunement, understanding, warmth, soothing,
regulation,
vulnerability.
Governed by the internal feminine, aka the attachment system. 4.
The trauma child distorts these safety systems.
Childhood trauma forces the child to take over emotional regulation, mother field, or take over practical stability, father field, or take over both simultaneously. This results in gendered imbalance patterns that appear in adulthood. Let's map these clearly. This is where our insight shines brightly. 5. The 2 major trauma child disbalance templates. There are 2 primary configurations depending on which system collapsed first. Template A, emotional safety overdrive, wounded feminine, often common in women.
Description: women who grew up with an overwhelmed mother, an unstable or absent father. Emotional chaos at home. Often become hyper-empathic, over-responsible,
emotional caretakers,
pleasers, conflict avoiders, anxious attachers.
Compensation pattern: their safety system becomes hyperactive. Their stability system becomes underdeveloped.
They sacrifice emotional needs for
harmony,
connection, preventing conflict, protecting others. This leads to
burnout, emotional exhaustion,
resentment, hypervigilance, inability to receive care.
Reset restores the missing stabilizer and allows the emotional system to stop overfunctioning. Template B, practical safety overdrive, wounded masculine often common in men.
Description: men who grew up with
Emotionally volatile mothers, unpredictable household environments,
or parentification roles, often become hyper-responsible, task-driven,
performance-based,
emotionally numb, controlling,
detached. Compensation pattern: their stability system is overdeveloped.
their emotional safety system is suppressed or blocked.
They focus on work,
Money,
physical survival,
achievement, control,
to avoid emotional vulnerability,
intimacy, shame, feeling unsafe. Reset restores emotional safety and relieves the hypermasculine overcompensation.
6. Both templates produce the same outcome: trauma child identity running the system. Although the patterns look different, they have the exact same underlying architecture. Emotional overdrive equals child managing mother's overwhelm. Practical overdrive equals child managing father's absence.
In both cases, the internal mother cannot soothe. The internal father cannot stabilize. The child remains in control. This keeps consciousness stuck at the trauma child level. Reset corrects this by rebuilding both internal systems.
7.
The reset map of consciousness. Here is the developmental ladder. Level 1, survival consciousness, the trauma child identity.
Dominated by fear, guilt, chaos, overthinking, people-pleasing, control, conflict avoidance, emotional collapse.
This is unconscious living, driven by old memory loops.
Level 2, transitional consciousness, the reconstruction adult. Characterized by oscillation between child and adult states, beginning of boundaries, emerging clarity, emotional discomfort, identity reorganization, growing inner strength.
Reset sessions place clients into this state automatically. Level 3, integrated adult consciousness, fully developed identity.
Characterized by emotional stability, practical stability, physical safety awareness without fear, secure attachment, boundaries without guilt, vulnerability without collapse, agency, inner peace, resilience.
This is the goal of reset: the adult becomes the leader of consciousness.
8.
How reset moves clients up the ladder.
Reset transforms consciousness step by step by restoring the father field leading to stability.
Stops overcompensation. Activates boundaries. Reduces fear logic.
Allows emotional safety to exist.
Regulating the mother field leading to emotional safety.
Stops emotional overload.
Resolves anxiety. Softens reactivity. Allows vulnerability to return. Releasing the trauma child, ends survival-driven identity. Collapses the old script. Ends parentification.
Removes chronic stress loops.
Installing the adult identity, full self-leadership.
Emotional autonomy.
Healthy relational functioning. Individuation completion. Reset is effectively a map plus mechanism for adult consciousness development.
Showing how humans move from trauma child identity to integrated adult self. Section 9, the 4 reset compensation archetypes. How children internalize parental collapse and reproduce it in adult life. One of Reset's most important insights is that trauma does not produce predictable gender patterns. Instead, trauma produces compensation patterns, based entirely on which parent the child had to replace. Children symbolically take over whichever parental function collapsed. If the mother field is overwhelmed, the child becomes the emotional stabilizer.
If the father field has collapsed, the child becomes the practical stabilizer.
If both collapse, the child becomes both, or neither.
This results in 4 distinct trauma-adapted adult identities.
Gender only influences how the adaptation expresses itself, not which adaptation emerges. Reset maps these patterns into 4 compensation archetypes. The Reset compensation cross. 2 internal systems form the basis of trauma adaptation: 1 emotional safety system, mother field.
2 practical safety system, father field.
Each can be overdeveloped, compensation.
Suppressed, sacrifice. Archetype 1, the empathic overgiver.
Emotional overdrive plus practical suppression.
Common in both women and men. Origin, the child compensated for an overwhelmed or emotionally unstable mother feel. Adult pattern, over-empathic. Guilt-driven. Self-sacrificing. Emotionally merged with others.
Avoids conflict. Prioritizes feelings over reality.
Neglects practical responsibilities.
Becomes the child partner in relationships.
Reset view, this is the wounded feminine identity, regardless of gender.
Example, what we call jokingly, the Barry the Butler dynamic, men who serve emotionally but collapse practically. Archetype 2, the functional operator.
Practical overdrive plus emotional suppression. Common in both men and women. Origin, the child compensated for an absent, unstable, or unpredictable father feel. Adult pattern, hyper-responsible. Highly functional, task-driven. Emotionally distant. Achievement-focused.
Avoids vulnerability.
Manages everything alone. Becomes the parent partner. Exhausted, but hides it. Reset view, this is the wounded masculine identity, regardless of gender.
Example, women who take over finances, planning, logistics, and suppress their emotional needs.
Archetype 3, the collapsed child.
Practical suppression plus emotional suppression. Origin, both parents were unavailable, unstable, or unsafe. The child had no functioning adult to imitate, so they did not develop either safety system.
Adult pattern, shutdown. Helplessness.
Avoidance.
Emotional numbness. Dependency dynamics. Chronic fatigue. I can't cope identity.
Depressive or freeze-based adaptation.
Reset view. This is the pure trauma child identity in adulthood.
Often mistaken for depression, ADHD, or lack of motivation.
Archetype 4, the super parent.
Practical overdrive plus emotional overdrive.
Origin, both parents collapsed in different ways, one emotionally, one practically. The child became the caretaker of both. Adult pattern, rescuer personality. Burnout prone. Hyperfunctional and hyper-empathic. Cannot rest. Cannot receive help.
Carries everyone's burdens.
Perfectionistic caretaker. Martyr tendencies.
Reset view, this is the double parentified adult, the most exhausted archetype. The core revelation, trauma is functional, not gendered.
This section revises the old belief that men lean toward practical survival. Women lean toward emotional survival. Reset shows the deeper truth.
The child adapts to whatever system collapsed regardless of gender. Thus, men can become emotional sacrifices, archetype 1. Women can become practical workhorses, archetype 2.
Both can collapse entirely, archetype 3.
Both can become super-functioners, archetype 4.
What matters is who the child had to be in the family system, not the gender of the child. How Reset restores balance in all 4 archetypes. Reset does not treat symptoms.
Reset corrects the underlying architecture.
1. Rebuilding the stability system, father field.
Supports archetypes 1 and 3, balances archetype 4, softens archetype 2. 2. Regulating the safety system, mother field. Supports archetypes 2 and 3, balances archetype 4, softens archetype 1.
3. Releasing the trauma child, ends all compensatory roles.
Installing the integrated adult creates stable, self-led, emotionally mature consciousness.
When these systems are corrected, all 4 archetypes converge into balanced adulthood. Summary of Section 9.
Trauma does not create masculine or feminine wounds.
It creates functional distortions depending on which parent the child had to replace.
The 4 reset compensation archetypes unify all trauma adaptations into one framework, the empathic overgiver.
The functional operator. The collapsed child. The super parent.
Reset reconstructs the internal architecture so the trauma child can retire and the integrated adult can emerge.
10.
Conclusion: consciousness expands when the child retires.
Reset teaches, you do not become conscious by effort. You become conscious when the child stops running your nervous system. Consciousness is not enlightenment. It is emotional adulthood.
Reset delivers this through stability, safety, identity integration. This chapter completes the theoretical foundation of reset and leads directly into the reset personality map.
Reset therapeutic applications. Reset for couples. Reset for leaders. Reset for identity transitions. Reset as a societal model. Reset. The true Great Reset.